In a previous video, I showed you how to use ACP Planner to generate a script that ACP can use to operate the telescope at night. Now I'm going to show you the steps for getting things set up in the observatory for an imaging run. So the first thing that we need to do is to open the observatory, and for that we need the dome control program, which is called ACE Smart Dome. It's here under the Start menu. ACE Smart Dome connects to the telescope with this button here, and once it's connected, it will tell you the state of the dome doors. We can see here that the dome doors are closed at the moment. I'm going to push this button and it will confirm, do I really want to open the observatory? In this case, the answer is yes. And once I push that button, then it will tell me that the shutters are opening. And that will last for a minute or so, and I can do other things while that's happening. So I'm just going to put this off to the side. You can see already that I have the Sky program open, and I'm going to be imaging asteroid 1220 Crocus tonight. It's right here, and we can see that it's 38 degrees above the horizon, so it's perfectly fine to image it. We want our objects always to be 30 degrees above the horizon or higher. And you can also see that the telescope is not actually pointed toward 1220 Crocus right now, but that's okay. ACP is going to take care of that. We also have the DFM program operating in the background. We don't really need to do anything with that, but it does need to be on and running. I'll just minimize that now. And I also have Maxim DL running. This is the camera control software. And here I'm just going to open the setup window. So under view, the camera control window will tell me a little bit about what the camera is doing right now. So here you can see that the camera is connected and it's already cooled to minus 50 degrees Celsius. If you open this window and kind of nothing's happening, you can just try pushing connect and see if it connects to the camera. And then you would push cooler on and then it will cool for you. If you want to change the temperature of the cooler, you can push this button here and change it. This is all fine though. I don't really need to do anything else. So now I'm going to minimize this as well. So the next thing I'm going to do, there's one more thing. We have a cloud sensor, a weather station on top of the building called Clarity 2, and that will also need to be opened to run ACP. So let me click that and show it to you. So when I open that up, it'll take a moment to update, and it checks the weather sensor, and it can see that it's clear, calm, dry, and dark. If it were to start raining, then it would be able to sense that, and it would immediately be triggered to shut down the observatory. So it interacts with ACE Smart Dome, and whenever something looks bad on here, if it gets cloudy, if it's too bright, it will automatically shut down the observatory. But clear, calm, dry, and dark is a good sign. We're going to be able to open. By the way, if I go back to ACE Smart Dome, I can see that it's open now. If you're ever not sure whether the dome is rotating properly, you can just push home on here and it will turn the dome until the dome gets to a specified location that is its home location. And that's sort of helpful. If things seem to have gone haywire with the dome, this can be a helpful way of resetting things. There are other ways too, but that's a quick and easy way of kind of getting a fresh start. So last but not least, I'm going to actually open the ACP program. I can go to the Start menu, up to ACP. I'll do it that way for now, but there's also a shortcut on the desktop. So here's the brains of the operation, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to now take control of all of these software programs I've showed you using this ACP Observatory control software. So if I go to Telescope Connect, it starts interacting with the DFM control system, and you can see now it knows what the right ascension and declination of the telescope is. It's also messing around with the dome. It's connected to the dome. You can see that it's turning the dome right now, And so it's hooked up with that. If this is blinking, that means things are kind of happening with the dome. And if it continues to blink, that's usually not a good sign. Okay, so now I'm going to connect to the camera, and I think that's it. If MaximDL were off, it would actually open MaximDL when I told it to connect to the camera, but it was already open. We don't have a rotator, so we don't need to connect to that. We do have a weather sensor, so I'll connect to the weather sensor. And once that is set, then we are ready to go. It's funny that this button hasn't gotten black again, but it looks like it's okay. So, oh, there it is. And now we see weather is on here. Okay, so now ACP is on, but we haven't actually told it what to do tonight. We've just got it kind of interacting with all of these different programs that are running things in our observatory. So we have to open a different window to make that all happen. And there's a web browser window that you can go to from this desktop shortcut. So I'm going to click on Use Web Browser, and it'll bring up a web browser. And in a minute, we will see that it's loading the Phillips Academy Observatory ACP web page. It tells me immediately where my files are going to be saved, but I already know where my files are going to be saved, so I always just get rid of that. And now you can see a lot of the same information that we saw on the last screen: right ascension declination, times, it's ready to go. The telescope isn't doing anything, the imager isn't doing anything. It's just a bunch of information that kind of gives you the status of your telescope. I'm going to make this window as big as I can for the moment. Now, if I just wanted to take a single image, I have some options for doing that. And really, I can make something happen here. I can take a single image. You can put a target name in, like, I don't know, M33 or something. And I don't know, maybe you actually search in the Deep Sky catalog. Let me try this. I don't actually want to image M33, but maybe, okay, there it is. So you click on it and it'll give you the coordinates, and you can set the duration of the exposure, and you can set the filter and the binning, and then you can acquire the image, and it'll take an image for you right on the spot. It'll move the telescope to the object and take an image. That would be a fun exercise to try the first time you run ACP. But what I actually want to do is run my plan, which I made in the last video. So I'm going to click on Multiple Objects Plan, and you have to scroll down to this region of the web page. And when I click on this button, it goes to that folder where I saved my plan. You can see I've made many, many plans over the past few years, and so you're going to have to scroll down to find the proper date. Here we are, 2014, 12/19, please work. Not please work flats. That's the file telling it how to make flats. We want please work, and so I'm going to click that. And I don't need to select the subfolder, that's all set. And then I just push Acquire Images. And I want to show you what's happening here. I can't show you too many things at once, but what's going to happen in a minute is as long as this is working right, oh yeah, there it goes. You can see it's already interacting with the telescope, telling it to move to the coordinates that I set in my plan in the last video. It's all in there. So there it goes. It's going to my asteroid, and I just want to show you some other things in here. If you want to see what's going on, you can see here, oh, it's slewing, but if you want to see the log, I really like this. It kind of tells you what's happening here. So it tells you what kind of image or what kind of imager you've got. We've got an Andor camera, bunch of stuff here. Okay, compiling plan. It likes our plan. And then as you go down, you can see, okay, this is the plan. It's going to wait. Oh, wait is finished. It's slewing to Crocus. It's waiting for the slew to complete. Now it looks like it's taking us 20-second exposure. Let's go to Maxim and see if it's true. Yep, look at that. Right within Maxim, we can see the 20-second exposure is being taken. And I was telling it to make 300-second exposures, so why 20 seconds? Well, what it's going to do is take this 20-second exposure, and then it's going to try to match this exposure to a star map, and that in that way, it's going to be able to tell the exact location on the sky, and if the telescope hasn't pointed exactly at Crocus, it will move it slightly so that it's in the right spot. Let's go back to the web page and see if it managed to match the image to the star chart. Let's look here. So I'll scroll back up. I don't know what's going on there. Oh, it's giving me all sorts of information about the guider. And right now it's working on setting up auto guiding, and I don't know what's going on here. I think those are all star locations or something. But anyway, we sort of missed out on seeing it, but I'm sure that it matched the image to the star chart. There's another way I can go and look and see if that really happened, but I'm not going to, because I'm going to take us back here and show you that, oh yeah, right away, it's got us guiding on a star, and it's actually already into the first exposure. So it's taking the first 300-second exposure. And it's just going to purr along all night long, taking my images. I have my image run set to finish up at 5:30 in the morning. And we're cranking away here, and it's doing what it needs to do. So what's left? Well, one of the things that you should always check is whether or not you are in focus. So on the telescope control system, usually somewhere around 3000 to 3005 is the right focus number for our telescope. If you want to change that number, you can go into miscellaneous, focus position. Let's say I want to change this to 3002. I just do that, apply, and it takes it down to 3002. So you can change that in there. Most of the time, it's just about right if you don't change anything from night to night. But it's worth checking, and the way you can do that is after the first exposure, you can go to this information window, and you just scroll over the image, and you see what the full width half maximum is. That should be somewhere around 6 or less. Now, this one looks great. Looks like it's 2.4, but the thing is, this exposure was binned, and so this is not a good example exposure to choose to see whether it's in focus. But what I'll do is I'll come back after the first exposure, and I will check to see that the full width half maximum is okay. If it's not, these exposures are about 5 minutes long, so this takes a few minutes. But if it's not, what I would normally do is fiddle around, maybe take the focus number up to 3006 and down to 3000 and see if I can fiddle with that a little bit to improve the focus. Let's see here. The other thing that you should check is that you continue to get images throughout the night. So you're going to get the first image, but then it's possible, and this has happened to me before, that the program will kind of randomly stop after one image. So you think you've got your imaging going, you see that Maxim is taking its first 300-second image, and then you leave and you get one image for the night, and that's very upsetting when you come back the next day. So you should stick around for 2 or 3 images, and if possible, you should actually come back after about an hour to see how things are going. The other snafu that I've run into a lot is that occasionally the dome, for whatever reason, will not turn properly. And so what happens is after about an hour, the telescope moves and the dome doesn't. And so the slit is no longer in front of the telescope. And so you don't get any good images after that. Also very frustrating. So you do have to kind of check in on this thing. But it's a wonderful program, and it can be very helpful if you have to go to sports and you're not going to finish up until 6 o'clock and you want to start imaging at 4, or for whatever reason you can't be there in the observatory right when imaging starts. The other thing it's great for is that you can add a second object to your plan. So you might image one object for half the night and another object for the other half of the night. And you don't have to get up at 3 in the morning to change from one to the other.